I'm Graham Roberts and welcome to part 6 of this tutorial on how to capture the key presses when you're developing a Java program and using a JFrame with a panel and a button so that you can move the button around the panel as a screen. We left the last tutorial looking at how we might put a costume, as it were, on the button. If the button is going to be an avatar, an object in the game, a character under the control of the player, then we would like to have an image that represented that in the button, so the button looked like an icon. Games often call these sprites. Here we are using a button, so we just say that the button is going to have an icon. In actual fact, there is a method called image icon, or rather it's a class, and image icon constructor takes as its argument a path to a picture or an image. So we're going to see how we can do this in the context of this project. Remember the context we're in. We are in the constructor for the class that in effect has our graphical user interface, and we have got a complaint from the IDE that it doesn't know about the class image icon. If we click over here, we can add an import for image icon, and now we have that here at the top. It also says it doesn't know what image up avatar is. Well, the image up avatar is really should be read as image, and the image is called up avatar, meaning the avatar will look like it's going up the screen, going north, if you like. Image up avatar is actually a path. If we go up to our instance variables, I'm going to add, here's a little comment, the images folder is within the folder the packages in, and I made it using Windows Explorer, but it could be anywhere the relative path reaches. I'm going to show you what I mean, because it's difficult to explain. But what you can see here is I've declared with private access a constant string type path called image up avatar, and the path is the images folder within which there is a JPEG called up avatar. So let's have a look where that actually is. When you look at the folder in which your project resides, you find a build folder, a distribution folder if you've ever asked for a build, in which you will find the jar which you can run by just double clicking it, and I've just done that, and what we see is this. And I'll just go back, and we've got the project, and inside the project we've got these IDE files, we've got the source, and obviously we've got the package, and we've got the actual source code we've been writing. We've got the build and the manifest. What we don't have is the images folder, and so we're going to create it with in my version I'm running Vista. This is not a modern machine that I'm using at the moment, You'll probably find a new folder at the top in Windows later versions. So I asked for new folder, and I'm going to call it images, and I'm going to put into it, well, an image. In fact, I'm going to copy in 4 images. I actually used Photoshop to make these images, and I'll just show you what they look like by changing our view. There you go. So wait for it. This is quite a feat of of avatar creation, but these feet are going upwards, downwards, left and right, and you won't be surprised to learn that they act as the costume for the button. When the player or user presses the up arrow key, in the case of up avatar, the down arrow key produces an image on the button, which is the down avatar picture, and similarly with left and right movements. Okay, so let's go back to our source code. What we did was we said that the image up avatar was here. So let's see when we run it if that is indeed the case. We saw just now we ran it from the build and it wasn't the case. In fact, by the way, I'm talking about when you do clean and build project here. The project is built into that distribution folder. Anyway, we've just run it now, and you can see that the feet are going up even when one presses the down arrow, the right, and so on. Of course, quite correct too, because we only ever give it one icon. So we want to give it a different icon according to which key has been pressed. Where would we change the icon? You might like to think about that and check it for yourself and see if you're right when I carry on. You might pause this video for a while. Well, where you do it, in our construction anyway, is best done in this context inside the move helper methods. So for example, in move right, we would here change the icon. We could do it after the set location, which is here. The problem of it not recognize image right avatar is because we haven't given it the path, and the path would be given up here to that particular one. I'm going to put the paths, the constants in that we need. So we've got a path for each of the images, and we've seen where the images are, so this should make sense. Does it make sense to our compiler? We come back down to the move helper method. It's quite happy now with the image right avatar, and we do similarly with the other method. When we have made these changes and we run our program again, we find pleasingly that the feet follow the direction of the arrows that we press. So that's the left arrow, right arrow, up arrow and down arrow. Well, we should be quite pleased with what we have achieved here, because we have achieved the goal of putting a costume on the avatar such that it actually looks like it's got a sense of direction. This will help, if it was in a game, with immersion in the game, the credibility for the player of the world being created by the game's designer. Well, now just before the key pressed event, which has been so important to us and is a gift from the key listener interface, if we put a comment in here, it seems appropriate to say what it does. So we just say capture the key events and use the helper methods to move the button appropriately. I haven't actually really gone here for JavaDoc comments, and if I had, I put another little asterisk there, but I don't think we need JavaDoc in this tutorial. Although it is of course a good practice if you are creating a game or needing this for some sort of simulation to actually put in a JavaDoc internal documentation. So there we have it. Our final part of the tutorial is nearly complete. Let's have a little look at the entire project now. We started with a comment and declared the author, and we had a package. We had some imports which actually evolved over the time we were developing our project. We made a subclass from the JFrame superclass, and we also implemented the key listener interface. We made declarations as necessary with private access for instance variables. These variables being used to essentially create a button and then move it, and these variables telling the program where to find images to put inside the button for display during the movement of the avatar when it was used as an avatar. This is the constructor for the class, and inside here we set up the user interface, including of course the size of the panel, the size of the button, the colors of the panel and the button, and adding those of course to the frame or form, and then packing it all to, using the pack method, and centering it on the screen. By the way, you haven't really seen it in the tutorial centered on the screen because I'm looking at the left hand top corner of my screen for this tutorial. It actually does pop up in the middle of the screen. And we had private helper methods for moving the button, but they were invoked or called or made to run by triggers and setting off the event handler for the right, left, up or down arrows on the keyboard. We also had an opportunity to move the button back to its start position using the escape key. We had this in order, this change or setter of the legend at the top of the form so that we could actually see the properties, the X and the Y coordinates of the button. And you probably won't need that in whatever application you're going to put this into. These are the two abstract methods that we need in order to use the key listener interface. And that was it. So let's have a final run of the program that we create, and I think we're nearly done. So there we go, bump, and finally up again. Hope you've enjoyed this series of tutorials and they have been useful to you.